Okay, hello everyone. Um, so we're back with another video. In this one, we are not continuing on from the previous one. This is a new run, and this is just going to be a short one in which I talk a little bit about considerations I have for setting up wands and, to a degree, perks, but mainly wands, on leaving first stage and going into the second stage. Um, it's obviously going to be all of this stuff, the spells I've got, is going to be different from what you get on leaving your run. But I think the thought process can be useful just to know sort of things to consider and different ways to weight certain options you have. So just so we're all on the same page on leaving the first stage, I have a water flask, a blood flask, firestone, and one of the tablets. So I picked them up in the previous stage. Not much of a consideration there for going into the next stage. Nothing I really need to be mindful of. Having the tablet, you can use that for trick kills fairly reliably, even in the second stage. Third stage, it gets a bit more dangerous, and you probably don't want to be using that. Wands I have picked up, so I started with obviously these two. We have Bouncing Burst is our spell. Stats on this aren't awesome, they're alright. Stats on this, mana charge speed is 10. So in the previous video I spoke a little bit about how this wand can be very fast shooting out for you. If you can't cobble together anything from the wands you're offered and the ones you've picked up, this can be an option with 10 mana charge speed. You can see that it comes back quickly enough. You can do it with 10, anything lower than 10, and it's really kind of pushing it. But you know, this could get me through. If I couldn't do anything better, this would be fine, and I would roll with this. So that's those are the ones we started with. Obviously had bombs, picked up shuffle wand, second shuffle wand, dynamite, and burst of air spells. Also picked up just through a chest. I think it was a chest. I wouldn't have bought these at a shop, so it must have been a chest. These two spells, which currently I don't even know if any of these have the mana required to... Oh, they do. Yeah, so I can cast this. This is something I'm excited to use because I haven't got that yet. So testing that out will be fun. Very exciting. It's obviously going to be much too higher mana drain for most of this stuff, even these wands. So I'm not going to use that in this video, but that will be fun to play with eventually. And yeah, so those are what we came here with. I left the previous stage at 2 HP, so I've taken the heart. I couldn't risk leaving it. And we've got a good amount of gold for coming in here. Normally on entering the Holy Mountain, I think it's probably just a quirk with me, I try to see what the best thing I can make out of what I've got is before I even bother checking the rest of the wands, just so I sort of know where I stand. But it's probably not required. It's probably advisable to sort of get all the information you have from what the wand is, what spells it has, how much it costs initially, and then make up your mind. And I will come back to these and talk a little bit about the spells and what I'm thinking when I see what's there. But the other key bit of information is we've got electricity, stronger hearts, extra perk, and reroll has not been used, so it's 200. Looking at these perks, considering I've got nothing and it's cheap to reroll at this point, I'm kind of considering rerolling. These are okay. Extra perks, nice to have extra options later, but there are so many very strong perks that that taking one that's just sort of like not detrimental doesn't feel that great right at the very start of a run. So I'll probably try to re-roll this. So I should be considering that I have 737 gold. for whatever I buy. I'm also considering that I want to be using... I'm very happy I got TNT. I quite like that as an explosive. I prefer it over the bomb. But I want to be able to equip both, so this is an interesting little tip that may be of use to someone. If you put them on a no shuffle wand like this, you can save your bombs by firing a TNT, swapping the wand, swapping back, and then firing the TNT again. Obviously, I've got no bombs, so it doesn't really do justice to it, but you'll just have to take my word that even though it's not a shuffle wand, swapping off and then back on will reset it, and you won't use your bomb on the second cast. This does have the unfortunate effect of, if I do need a bomb though, I have to waste the TNT before I can then fire the bomb. But obviously TNT comes with, I think, 16 charges initially, so that's not so bad. So even if I did nothing out of here, I'd like to have these end up on a no shuffle wand, so I'd probably be looking at setting these up to be some sort of combat wand. This is a safe option, but I want to see if I can do better, because obviously I don't want to deal with the mana dropping out. And so I'm going to compare these two wands to each other, and in this case they are exactly the same. They just happen to be the same wand, they rolled the same stats, so I can have a quick look here at how fast they fire and recharge. And so looking at them, 0.05, very quick cast delay, long recharge time. And so anytime you see that on a wand, you want to be considering putting more spells on it so that you benefit where it's good and you minimize where it's bad. So it's bad at recharge, so I want to have as many shots before I need to recharge as possible. That being said, I don't particularly like this spell. It's okay. It's good enough damage, and you can do some funky things with it that are probably not worth talking about here, but like you can turn it into a little bit of a flamethrower because it's air. But that's, I don't know, more likely to kill me than help me. And it also, as you can see there, it blows objects away. So a lot of the time, the things you kill, you blow the gold away, and it can be a bit of a pain. So I don't really want to use that. I'll probably throw it away, frankly. And looking at this, so this is okay, but the recharge time is very, very slow. And given that I've only got 2 spells with which to do it, I'd probably be considering running this. I actually don't mind the play style that I guess I have when doing this. I guess it just works for me. Being able to shoot very quickly, kill something, and then just back off and wait for the mana to come back, that's sort of fine with me. So that's currently the current setup. That is what I'm leaning to, dropping this and probably even just turfing them. It's something I do. It's probably a bad habit, but you're advisable to keep these, not just dump them right now. Just because having a wand is better than having no wand, even if it's bad. Because you could potentially, next stage you might find a way to fix it, or you might just have a spell that you really need to be able to cast, and even just dumping it on a shuffle wand is something that might be worthwhile. Okay, so that's where we're currently at. Now we can look at these. So I have had a quick sneaky beaky at these prior to starting the video. Like when I finished the stage 1 yesterday, but I'll sort of go over these as I sort of initially did. Initially, seeing these chainsaws, I happen to know that, and this is probably a good thing to note, if you were to buy this, or to try to buy this by pressing E, you can now hover the spells, see what they do, and cancel out without spending the gold. So you don't need to be worried about wasting money on a wand you don't want just because you wanted to inspect what the spells do. So I'm going to go in reverse order here, actually, because the stuff I actually give a damn about is down here. So these spells, they're kind of hard to use, and they're limited charges, so I'm not particularly interested in them. Shuffle Wand, don't really rate that. 2 spells per cast has its uses, but it's not something I'm really interested in right now. So this wand and the spells, I don't really care about straight off the bat. It's got good mana max, but the recharge speed isn't there, so there's not really much point. 2 spells per cast can have its uses though. It's something that I personally need to look into more though, how that interacts with multicast spells as well. But as a general rule, I'm avoiding ones like this, primarily because it's shuffle. Any of the things that I wanted to put together, I could do with a no shuffle wand, but that's not really going to help. It's also very expensive. I think that's because it's got a sort of high damage limited spell, so it's sort of costing an amount that is relative to how powerful this is, not how, I guess, usable it is. You can see though it is better than a lot of these, just not in combat stats. So cast delay you really do want as low as you can, and so it's better than these in most ways, but the way that I care about right now, a point of note, is that going into, like, in the early game, I guess, just in general, not really depending on stages, but in the early game, you want something that's shooting quickly. You don't normally have the ability to put together something broken right off the bat, so the best you're normally going to be able to do is a simple spell firing very fast, which is why I opt for this. And these stats don't let me do that, so it's not going to do much for me. Next one, so this bomb, it's pretty bad. It's it does a bit of damage and that's handy. It can clear terrain, but it sort of explodes and then sparkles rain down below it, so it's hard to fire upwards, which dynamite can. You can clear debris above you quite well with dynamite, not so much with bombs. But you can't really do that with these bombs either. So I'm not really interested in that. Stats also aren't great. 12. It's not much better than this. It's a bit better than these, but not by an overwhelming amount. Recharge is better, but it's mainly the capacity that I'm interested in. There's very low capacity, so I can't really do much with it other than just whack on one of these spells, which, like I said, is a consideration. But when this is already going to be shooting fast, I'm looking for a one that's going to do that job better, and this one's not doing that. And that capacity gives me no room to grow in the next couple of stages if I find some good spells but no better wands. This wand is just going to limit me to what I can do. This wand being 50% off, I'm immediately interested in, just because it's at a discount, so if the stuff here is good, it's a worthwhile save. It's kind of an interesting one here. Mana max is very low, but very high charge speed. This can be really, really good. Because of the really high charge speed, if you can find a way to make it shoot quickly, that mana charge speed will basically fix these sorts of problems. Like if I could make this wand shoot even faster, I would get to the point here where it is failing to fire because it's out of mana in half the time, let's say. Having this mana charge speed being so high would fix that problem, and so I could have it shoot even faster than this more often, which could be really, really good. So mana charge speed is great. Many slots also good. However, shuffle is really what's holding this wand back. Cast delay is also pretty damning on this wand. That's a lot of cast delay, and I don't have much of a way of fixing it. These spells do reduce it by a tiny amount, but really the way I think about the negative cast delay on this spell is it's more like it's not adding any. Like a lot of spells add, plus 0.13. A lot of spells add a big amount. It's more as if this isn't adding any. It's not so much that it's going to fix the problems on a wand, it's just going to not add new ones. So that cast delay is quite damning. But the spells are good. Double scatter spell, so some great utility. You can use it to do something called wrapping. That's with a W, not an R. So I'll explain that. I might buy this, so I'll explain that in a minute. Even if I don't buy this, you can wrap in other ways, and I'll explain that. Burning Trail I don't really care about. I don't want it. It's probably going to get me killed, or at least, take off health, which I don't really want to do. A triplicate bolt, which I and most people just call the shotgun. Great spell. This spell has some utility to help you dig. Digging, especially in the next stage, is pretty useful. There's a lot of gold in the next stage, hidden in pockets of earth that are easily dug through if you have something like this, some sort of digging type spell. But if you were to try and do that with just dynamite and bombs, you'd end up just wasting, all of them and getting very little. So getting some sort of digging as early as the next stage can be really, really handy. And this can do that. This wand alone would do that. Just the fact that it's got high mana charge speed and, say, double scatter spell, I could fire 2 of these every, plus the cast delay on this, it would be, over half a second. But I could fire 2 of them every half a second and never run out of mana effectively because the mana regen is so high. So this could do enough for me digging wise to give me a really good economy boost going into the next stage. That might even let me re-roll a second time. Second re-roll is 400, so that's 600 total. 740 is what I was looking at there. I've got 937, so that's a consideration as well. It's also a good combat spell. It seems to stun quite heavily on enemies. I'm not entirely sure if stun is just a hidden stat, because this seems to stun a lot better than other spells, even though the damage is only 5, but it might be 5 per pellet, and maybe it's because multiple pellets are hitting, but I need to look into that. But regardless of how it works, it does stun quite well, and it's got good damage. Spread's not great, but it's a shotgun. So that's this one. That's what I'm thinking there. I do want the spells. I actively want them. The wand, I could take it or leave it. Mana charge speed is good, but I can't fix the problems it has here. So I'm not particularly keen on the wand. And then these two, initially, I saw this one and was really upset because I wanted these stats, but I really wanted the chainsaws, and then I realized that this wand is effectively just stats wise just better almost all round than this wand. So that was nice. So I'm gonna come back to this one, and I'll speak about this one first. So it's a pretty good wand. If you compare it to our starting wand, literally better in every way, which is always nice to see. Being better in most ways is plenty good, but being better in all ways is obviously a pretty clear advantage. So it's going to be good as a combat wand. It actually shoots between spells, it shoots faster than even our bomb wand, which is great. And its recharge time is, under half what this one is. So that's great. That would be perfect. Mana charge speed is on par for all these sorts of wands. It's better than all these. It's about what you'd expect leaving this stage. And mana max is serviceable. It's better than these. It's a decent wand. 1 spell per cast. 4 capacity is enough. It's not too bad. The thing I really like is this. So this can fix cast delay. Costs a bit mana wise. And it fixes recharge time by a little bit. So these can be really, really good if you need to fix a wand. Something I should probably suss out is if it fixes enough to make this wand a consideration. Having a negative 0.58 on the cast delay, I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure that does affect the entire wand, because obviously recharge speed does. I don't think it is just for this spell, but it might be. That's probably something I should have sussed out prior to this, and I feel like I should know that already. Judging by the way that I've seen wands that have these on the wand fire, I think it does affect the whole wand, which would make sense because recharge time does as well. But yeah, that negative 0.58 is a huge drop in cast delay, and so a lot of the time what you find if you ever put these on a wand, actually it might be because the ones I'm thinking of are Luminous Drill with timer, and that timer is firing the next spell, so it's a way of like getting this cast delay onto a spell that doesn't have as good cast delay. So that might be why it is. But in any case, that can fix some of the detrimental stats on a wand like this, but there's no fixing shuffle in this instance. So I'm not as concerned about them for this wand, but they will improve basically everything except this one, because it's only got 1 slot, so I can't put it on. They will improve all the stats, all the recharge times that I have on any wand I put it on. So that's quite handy. And if I were to wrap these, any no shuffle wand, I could get more than 2 uses of that recharge time reduction. So I could make this wand not have to recharge, period, ever. Because I could get more than 2 of these. More than 2 of these effects per cycle through this wand. So that's this wand. Quite keen on this. It's got good spells. These spells also can dig. The mana drain's a bit high. So using these on a wand that doesn't have broken mana charge speed is going to result in the wand running out of mana fairly quickly. But I like this wand. And I was very pleased to see that this wand, which has got the stuff I wanted, has effectively just better stats than this one even. It's got a bit more spread, and these chainsaw spells add spread, which is a bit of a problem. It's not heaps of spread, so it's fine, but it's not ideal. But capacity is higher. It is still no shuffle. It's 1 spell per cast. And then the cast delay is 0.02 higher, so negligible. I don't even consider that an issue. Recharge time is lower, which is great. So it basically means this requires a single chainsaw, and it is then not having to recharge ever, so it doesn't have that orange bar that's slowing us down. So that's pretty insane. The chainsaw can dig decently. You know, it digs through soft stuff okay, if you can get it firing fast enough. So that's good. Yeah, I suppose I just immediately moved on to spells there. But yes, so these stats are decent, like quite good. Mana charge speed is better than this wand, and this wand was already, I was happy with this. And mana max is the same. So really the only place this wand falls down is it's got 0.2 higher here, which is negligible, and it's a little less inaccurate. And then where these have cast delay and recharge time reductions, chainsaws have just recharge time reductions. However, they are also 1 mana instead of 10, which is, if you're going to make a wand fire very, very fast, that's awesome. Just having that 1 mana. The only other problem is the spread is +6. So that's not ideal. Now the other spells it has is Light, which I'm not as interested in Light for the fact that it's a light. I don't really care about having a light, but the fact that it is a projectile modifier means that if I were to put it in the last slot of a no shuffle wand, I could use it to wrap, just like I can with multicast spells. So I could potentially, if I had, let's say I didn't get bifurcated and I only had 1 chainsaw, and this wand was great, but I needed more recharge time reduction because let's say this stat on it was much higher. I'd want to fire this twice, so I could put it at the first slot, I could put a light at the second slot, and of the 5 mouse clicks it would take me to cycle through this wand, I would hit the chainsaw on the first one, something, 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 and then the light, which would, because it modifies a projectile, the light, so the 5th click, would fire the next spell in the sequence, which would be a chainsaw in this case. So it would be chainsaw, something, 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 light chainsaw. And so I would get that, and then once the wand resets, then it goes back to chainsaw. So I would be getting 2 chainsaws in that sequence rather than just the one. So it would be fixing recharge time twice for negative 0.17. So, and again, 1 mana drain. So this is a double multicast for 2 spells, but mana drain is higher. So if I just needed to fire that first spell a second time, this would actually be a better option for me. So those are the considerations with this wand, and I would quite like this wand. So now that I know all the facts, I am definitely going to buy this one, which means I like to turf these into the water just so that they don't get in my way while I'm throwing spells around and modifying things. So I'm definitely buying this one. And just so the people know what the spell does, bifurcated shot shoots spells in a V pattern in front of you, which is horrible. However, if I was only using bifurcated to trigger chainsaws, so that's going to cast on this mouse click, this will cast 2 spells, which is these 2 next in the sequence, 1, 2. Because chainsaws are just melee weapons, I have no dramas. So I can use bifurcated to get, so in this, you'll see that the wand isn't recharging in the top right. I've cleared all recharge from it because I'm firing 1, 2, nothing, nothing, 3, 4 chainsaws per sequence. And I only need 1. I won't have recharge doing it like this. And this is much more mana efficient as well. And because it is not recharging, I don't need this. This is just as fast. Because the cast delay is all that matters, and cast delay between these, or between this and itself, is the same. So, no dramas there. And so, I'd 100% recommend experimenting as well. I see a lot of people just sort of like they'll throw something on and they'll go, okay, this is my wand, and then they'll walk out, when you could spend so much time just fiddling with, okay, so if I put that spell there, what happens if I do it like this? Okay, what happens if I do it like this? What happens if I take this off and put it bifurcated here? Oh, okay, that's no good. Maybe if I put bifurcated here and this here. Okay, so that's still no good. Or, whatever. Fiddle around with things like that. Because it will be useful. And now that I know that this wand it's definitely better than this, and I don't need this for bombs anymore, I'm considering just turfing this. Or having it, at the very least, having it empty. Because I know that this is already my combat wand. Now, I might make it better than this. But this is good enough so far. And so now I'm considering, because this is very good on mana, this is currently like not hurting me for mana at all, I'm considering purchasing this so that I've got some better combat spells to put in here. They are very heavy on mana though. 25 compared to 5 is potentially more than I need right now in this stage. So, not too sure how I feel about that. But at this point, I don't want to buy these straight away, because if I were to buy both of these to get both of the spells I want, I believe that's 420. Excellent, blaze it. 5, 6, 20. That I actually can reroll. But in any case, now that I've got something that's acceptable, I'm going to reroll. I probably, given it's hard to say, you probably want to have all the information and decide then and there. But I could have rerolled right off the bat. So not super happy here. Enemy radar, not ideal. Extra knockback on spells is probably more harm than good. And phasing, which I believe it has a percentage chance to save me from a projectile hit. The projectile will pass through me. I don't actually know if it's a percentage chance or if it's calculated another way. But it's okay. I didn't want to have to re-roll a second time. I'd say that I'm happier with this than anything I saw on the first one. So now it's a question of, do I want a second re-roll, or do I want these two wands? Because I can't have both. I now need to choose. And given that we've got a great, I say a great wand. We've got a good wand for stage 2 currently. My only concern now is that I would like a way to dig. Because that's my next problem. I've got a way to dig through sort of big obstacles, but not a way to dig for lots and lots of money, which I've already re-rolled once, so re-rolls are going to start getting expensive. I'm going to want more money. And they're also just good spells to have. They scale quite well because they can be used to dig. If you can find ways to fix mana and ways to fix all the other problems of a wand, and obviously cast delay as well, because these have a decent amount of cast delay. If you can find ways to fix those, they scale quite well because they can help you dig later, and they do a decent amount of damage. So, and it's on discount, and this is a worse wand, and these are only giving me an improvement in cast delay, so I don't really care about this wand anymore, because it's just been superseded by this wand and the spells that it came with. So I've initially, prior to recording this, I thought I was going to take both of these, but I reckon I've talked myself out of that one, and it's expensive. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to replace... I'm probably going to replace this wand. It doesn't really matter, because I don't really like either of these, but... although, I mean, this one's worse than this in more ways than this is. Although this has this really nice mana charge speed. I think I'll just dump this one. I don't think it matters here, but... yeah. So, now we can do some testing. So, again, still no recharge. That's how fast we're shooting. Which is alright. It's not too bad. I've got double scatter spell. That's going to be really handy later. If I need... Let's have a look and see what we can do with this wand if we fix... we can't fix the recharge time because it's shuffle. Well, we sort of can. I was going to say we can try wrapping into this and fix that 37. 7 and 7, 17 and 17. Ah, dear. So, yeah, we've got just shy of fixing recharge time. But that, you can see the blue bar comes back instantly, but it's just that initial fire rate is just so low. If we went with spells that deal with, yeah, see, these things don't add anything to the recharge time. They reduce it by 0.03, and even this it's not helping. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to use this wand, which is fine, because I was quite keen on this one anyway. So now the question is, do I want to use this, which can dig? So if we fire it at the sand, sorry fish, we fire it at the sand there, you can see it chews through soft earth. So this can dig, but it's not as fast as this. And there is something to be said about really fast, consistent damage like this. It's much easier to be accurate, and so like actual DPS applied to an enemy, it might actually be higher. So here's an interesting thing to note. Do not test shotguns like this. Everyone tests them like this, and that's not how you use them in the game. You are never going to be doing, you know, this is also hitting my chainsaw, so it's 84. Or if it's just the shotgun, 45 damage a second. You're going to be firing from like about here, maybe closer. Okay, so we can get 45 sometimes, so out of mana. So it's much less consistent, right? Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 45. That was 25 a second, 40. And any further range, like if there's a particularly dangerous enemy that I really don't want to get close to, I'm looking at, you know, similar numbers. It's not far off, but, you know, it's not point blank. It's, you know, you're hitting less pellets. So comparing that to this, which I can guarantee I will basically always get 21 a second every time, sort of more or less no matter what's going on. You know, that's a toss-up, and I mean, if this didn't dig, I would be choosing that. Frankly, I'd take that. It does dig, so I'm going to deal with the fact that damage is a little less consistent. I'm just going to sort of eat that problem, take that problem on board, and roll with this. I could put fire on this, so these are the other options I have with my modifiers. I can put fire here, so I don't even know if that adds damage to the projectile itself. I think it's only going to add damage if the fire applies to the enemy. So I'm not really much fussed about that. Wrapping with light won't help. I could use light, which, you know, for 1 mana, it's a bit of a like, why not sort of moment. So I probably will keep that on. I could go with this for big shotgun scatters, but it ruins my mana, and so I'm probably not going to do that. Keep this shit organized. I didn't talk about this. This is a great get. Big black holes, like more charges, but it's mainly going to be late game stuff I use that for. Another consideration, so I'm just going to turf these before I talk about this next bit. You don't need multiple copies, really, of spells. If they're a great spell, you can find some use for them, but this is a bad spell, and I'm running out of slots already. So I'm definitely going to turf. I'm going to turf some of them. I'm even going to turf some of these, as much as I like them. But you can see I'm only using one currently. Having more is not really going to do anything for me. So the concern I was going to mention is you want these to be, if you're not going to keep them, have them empty. Don't try and set this up as a combat wand and then have this as like, oh, I'll have that as a backup, and then I'll have this one as my auxiliary backup, because then when you get to the next stage, you're just going to trade these for another wand and lose all the spells you had, which, you know, if they're trash spells, no big deal. You could put, this is why I keep 2 of most spells, is you could put 1 on and then you've still got 1 left over if you desperately need it for something. But I anticipate I will be throwing these away. Frankly, normally I would just throw these in the drink now, but it's probably not the way to do it. I am now very cognizant of the fact that this was going to be a 2-minute video. It is now a 45-minute video. But these things happen. So, again, so these are good spells. So I am gonna keep a couple extras, even though I probably won't find a use for them. But I'll keep a couple extras. Actually, I am actually going to turf 1. Having open slots here is quite good, because there's the potential that you'll find what's called a shop on the next stage. It's basically the same as when you come into the Holy Mountain and there are 5 spells available for purchase. You can find that in the stage, and they will always, you can't slot them into wands when you find them. They'll always go up here. And so if this is chock-a-block full, you may lose the chance to put spells in there. Which, you know, if you find a really good spell, you're going to kick yourself. So trying to have at least a few slots here for spells is gonna be worthwhile. And you definitely want to keep stuff like these. Like, maybe not this. I normally would turf this one, just because fire so often just catches you on fire, lights shit on fire, costs you HP, and doesn't give you much of a real benefit. But modifiers, and particularly chainsaws for sure, and multicast spells, even bad ones like bifurcated that like fuck up your accuracy, they can do so much for you that that it's always, well, almost always worth keeping them. So I'd hang on to as many as you have room for. And that's basically it. Don't forget to fill up your water before you leave. That's another consideration. Now that I've done all my testing, if I want, I can grab a spell refresher. In this instance, for long runs, you don't want to grab it. You want to leave it here because this is veering dangerously close to spoilers. So I'm going to not explain why you want to leave this here, but I'm sure most people can work it out. I don't need it. I've got a couple of explosions if I get, if there's big areas that I need to blow through and I can't dig through them, like they're hard rock, and I can dig with this in a pinch. So I'm gonna rely on that. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm not gonna refill these, and that is all. So I'll take my perk, and with any luck, the next video, projectiles that seemingly phase through you. With any luck, the next video will be a post commentary with some tips for moving through the next stage and just some little bits of useful information. Alright people, welcome back. So, I had something that I wanted to test, and because of that, I've decided to pin it to the end of this video just because I felt like I had to do my due diligence and actually find out, rather than just saying to everyone here that I don't know, and that's the end of it. So you'll notice I've spent a bit more gold. I wanted to find out, and it sort of resulted in some handy benefits. I wanted to find out if these do in fact fix the cast delay for the overall wand. Spoilers, they don't. So I threw away this. I purchased this, put it on here. So you'll see that we've got the same recharge time fix as the previous one, but cast delay negative 0.58. Turns out that is only for this spell. If this spell had a trigger, it would trigger that spell, and I could take advantage of that negative 0.58 cast delay for firing the spell, and it would be as if this spell didn't exist. It was just all done under the cost and the speed of this one. But in this instance, that is not the case. This doesn't fix the cast delay of the wand. So I suppose a little bit counterintuitive, but that it is the case that recharge time modifiers affect the wand. Cast delay affects the spell. Well, I mean, I suppose it does affect the cast delay of the wand, like it will fix the cast delay of the wand, but it's only for that spell. But to test this out, so that's how fast we're shooting, and then we're out of mana. That's the same speed. If it was working, you would know. 0.58, so this would basically be instant. It would be instantly firing. It probably wouldn't fix the cast delay on this, because I don't think wands can go into negatives, so you couldn't get like a negative. Oh, actually, yeah, they can. You can see wands with negative cast delay stats. So because of that, it would be negative 0.58, which is 46. So it would be negative 0.46, and then plus this is negative 0.33. So it would be instantly firing basically a stream of these if it was working the way I was testing it to work. So purchasing this only gives me a worse version of this in this particular instance. However, as a happy knock-on effect, I did realize that because these can be used for digging, so so you see they eat away matter. They eat it very well. They're very good for digging. They'll eat through all matter. I think all matter. But in any case, this stuff's hard to dig through, and it chews through this. It's just that it eats the mana. But as a happy knock-on effect, I remembered that this wand, even though it's got bad cast delay and recharge time, it's got amazing mana charge speed. And these fix the problems that wand has. So I can put these on this, and by the time it's finished recharging, after the mana's run out, it's basically ready to fire again. And so this is an extremely good digging tool, a good digging wand for hard surfaces like this. So I suppose stand on me, I should have noticed that initially, but there you have it. And because of purchasing this wand, I can now compare it to this wand, which I know it is already better. And so I've now got an even better wand for holding my bombs. So should I need to put a secondary effect on a wand, I've got a better one to do that with. So should have known that initially. There are, again, some uses for being able to dig very, very well that I'm not going to go into, because they're, once again, outside the sort of scope of this video. Definitely like that. And the only disadvantage of this is that I now have... really, I could probably turf these. I don't need these for digging basically at all anymore. I'll keep them on. But because it's hard to say whether or not it's worth even putting them in the bar, because then I kind of need to start throwing away other spells, so I've got some open slots in the bar. I think what I'll probably do is leave them on, so I've got some explosives if I need them, if maybe maybe I come across an enemy that is in the left, like if I go down and left, there's some harder enemies in there, perhaps if they're stuck somewhere, but you know, this is having trouble hitting them, I could yeet some TNT in there, something like that. But basically this will be my first option to toss, second option I will be throwing this away if I find anything remotely decent wand-wise in the next stage. And I've managed to keep my safe stats. Unfortunately, we've lost the gold, but we've got great digging options, so we should be able to recoup that loss of, I think it was 280, I want to say, something like that. We should be able to recoup that loss pretty quick. So, provided I don't have any more insights, annoyingly insightful, I'll see you on the next one, hopefully going into the coal mines. Cool. Thanks, everybody.